Hello, this is Paul Milligan for IC Show TV at IC 2018. Thanks for joining us. This is the latest in our series of panel discussions. This particular panel is looking at whether lighting and audio is still underspecified when it comes to meeting rooms. So joining me today, I've got three premium big hitters in the AV world. Up the end there is Nevil Bounds from Feltech. Welcome, Nevil. We have Greg Gifford from Visual Displays. Welcome, Greg. And we have Justin O'Connor from Bose Professional. Thank you, Justin. So first question really, meeting rooms, are they underspecified when it comes to audio and lighting? Nevil, you want to kick us off? Do you think it is?
Yeah, I mean the starting point really on audio is acoustics. It's the biggest problem we have in every single meeting room environment. There are exceptions, but mostly we end up trying to put in audio solutions to compensate for the poor acoustics to begin with, and that's never a very satisfactory thing. And very often, it never works properly. So we're trying to encourage our clients to think about the audio in that space, even though primarily it might be used for video conferencing. But there's just not enough attention paid to it, and trying to retrofit solutions afterwards is never satisfactory, I don't think.
Justin, you're nodding?
I am nodding.
Yeah.
Well, audio, I was taught that acoustic problems are best solved acoustically. And with regards to teleconferencing, I believe that the first acoustic problems are the room, but the next acoustic problem is bad microphone selection. Because gain staging, once you're inside your audio system, is really important to good performance, but the first gain stage is physically acoustic. So the best solution is something like we have here. We have microphones very close to our mouths, and conference rooms obliterate that as quickly as possible and get the microphone elements really far from the people speaking. So the earlier you're accounting for that, the earlier designing to that, the fewer problems you're trying to solve at the end, because you do give yourself compromises on purpose that are acoustic problems you have to solve later. So you need the time, you need to specify for it.
I certainly agree with that. I think the other thing is we don't have enough time to coach and teach some of our clients, because with these teleconferences, because London is 4,000 miles away from New York, they've got to shout. Actually, you don't have to do that because we've got all that worked out for you. So again, spending more time with people, trying to encourage them about how they should be speaking. This takes some time, and you can never always get the right people in the same place to do this, either.
Greg, do you think that lighting and audio is underspecified when it comes to meeting rooms?
Well, with a resounding yes. I mean, the audio and the acoustics is more of a spectator sport for me, being involved in the visual display side of things. But it speaks to the same principle about getting the environment right, and rather than having to then spend money on technology to correct it. But typically, our resellers, they're given a room with a given lighting scenario, and very often that's actually creating eye strain into the room system. So there's a whole disconnect in AV between the lighting and the system, and it's the elephant in the room as far as I'm concerned.
Nevil, are you talking about the problem that's created is maybe at a building or architecture or even at FM level before it even gets to the sort of AV person?
Very much so, and we just rarely have the conversation at the design stage. It's such a pity.
So can we do anything about that? Or is
I think so. I think it's up to consultants and design people and integrators to have that conversation. And let's face it, here we are at ISC 2018. We've got some superb audio solutions everywhere. Got some superb lighting solutions, and if only they were implemented correctly in conjunction with the room aesthetics and acoustics, would make a massive difference.
I think the point is that nobody sets out to make a bad result, but you've got the trouble is you've got different stakeholders involved, and and very often the kind of interiors, the architects, the lighting designers will sit on one side of a divide, and then the AV and the technology will sit on another side. And I think that, blowing my own trumpet to do with the standards connection, but I think using standards is a way of driving that discussion, because it actually, by using standards, it gives you the opportunity to actually make the case for these bits joining up.
I think another problem is there's the divide, but on both sides of the divide, there's the question of those who don't necessarily understand how to ask for what they want, or what kind of experience to ask for and how to express it. So we could talk about underspecified, and that feels almost like, are the details deep enough?
Yeah.
Like, what does underspecified mean? But if the experience is specified and then a qualified technical person can translate that, given enough time, given proper budget, then it may look underspecified when you first look at it because it doesn't have nuts and bolts and dB and this sort of thing. But the experience is identified, the end result is identified somehow, and then someone knowledgeable in each of those fields can turn that into a reality. But the problem is we have many people who don't know how to ask for what they want, they don't know what they want, they don't know what is possible. And the question is who's going to fix that? Who's going to bring that expertise to each discussion?
Yeah. I think it's a great point, because I think having a performance specification so that you can actually describe with metrics of what the end result needs to look like, that is actually the basis of it, because you can engineer everything from that point forward. But the problem is that historically people have had a pretty a soft set of drivers for what they want, and they'll walk into a room and they'll tell you what they don't like about it. But to actually have some hard performance metrics for what you do want to do, because you see people getting unstuck the whole time.
I think just getting an acoustics consultant and a lighting designer in at the earliest possible opportunity to work in conjunction with the rest of the project team will just save so much trouble further down the line.
Is that budget dependent?
It can be, absolutely. But
to get those guys involved,
you don't have to spend very much at the front end to get a good result at the back end. And as I was saying earlier, you try and retrofit problems or fix problems later on. That's always more expensive.
I mean, it's something that is often said about good audio is kind of a lot of times is hidden, and lighting is almost identical. It works best when it's probably at its most subtle. I mean, is that maybe an element of what is the problem here? That because we can't see it, it's not as obvious as a 90-inch flat screen TV or a giant video wall or a big projector, that we maybe pay it a little less heed. Justin, do you think that's maybe part of the problem?
I think there's a certain amount of that. It's we all get excited when we see enormous, beautiful displays. Yeah. We all respond to that. They catch our attention, and that's often their job, especially when you're in an environment like this, and they're built to catch your attention, and it's very easy to be pulled by that. Good lighting is best when it's unnoticed. Good audio, in terms of inexperienced users, good audio is at its best when it's not intimidating, which means virtually invisible. Yeah. And so there can be, again, it goes back to who are the stakeholders, and do they know how to ask for the right thing, or are the professionals who have that expertise given the room and the time to create a solution that'll be comfortable or aesthetically pleasing. It's fine if it's invisible if it was built right. But yes, it can. I think that kind of hidden aspect can lead to it being kind of pushed to the wayside.
Greg, well, I spoke to you the lighting piece that's in the January issue, and you felt there's a huge kind of missed opportunity there for AV in terms of lighting systems. Would you sort of care to expand on that a little?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think first of all, there is a problem in general, because there's certainly plenty of budget available to do a proper job. The problem with lighting is that very often it's a case of form over function. People will spend a lot of money on fittings that look good, but we're talking about spaces where people have to do work and to exist in there, maybe locked in there for hours on end, and to be able to be working at your best during that. So I think there's a tremendous opportunity there, but it's just you only need effectively 3 or 4 lines of code, 3 or 4 lines of instruction to transform what a space can be, and it's absolutely within the ability of integrators to get into that space.
I mean, Nevil, Feltech are one of the most established kind of UK integrators going. How do you guys handle audio and lighting? Do you have specialists within the organisation, or are those skills expected of most of the AV engineers?
We have actually
roof?
got specialist people in there. We have to, and I think it's also worth remembering why we're doing this. We're doing this because we're trying to save executives and senior management, or anybody actually, of having to travel miles and hours on planes and trains. So we're trying to save them money in those costs. But if the experience isn't any good, or there's a problem with the lighting or the sound, then actually they're going, well, why are we doing this anyway? Why don't we just get it back on the plane again? So it's absolutely essential for us to make sure that we are delivering the best possible experience within the budget constraints that we always have, but also making sure we employ the specialists that really know what they're doing in these areas.
I mean, it's with regards to the money aspect of things. Is it sometimes audio and lighting is seen as the money's better viewed in out of the budget, better spent elsewhere, like in a giant video or a beautiful 20K projector or something? Do you find that is there a battle there to?
I think there can be, but I don't. I think, at least with regards to audio, part of the problem is not understanding what difference a price on a specific item might make. Yeah. Because there actually is a lot of room to improve your microphone spend and get a lot out of that. And yes, it multiplies if there are 12 of them. Sure, of course it's going to do that. And we can, DSPs are very competitively priced against each other for a conference room, and so it can lead someone who's looking at a bill of materials to kind of want to nickel and dime that and say, well, there's this thing that's half the price of all those DSPs, that'll be fine. But because they don't understand where the money is going in that spend. When you look, again, at a display and 55 inches costs this much and 60 inches, and you actually know exactly where your money is going, or if your table has certain features and at this price it's going to have these other features in terms of cable troughs or whatever, you can see where the money's going or at least understand it better. I think, again, with regard to audio, the people who are making those decisions don't necessarily understand that trying to value engineer a bill of materials actually matters to the performance that they're going to get out of it and the tools that it leaves the integrator then to work with.
Neville, is there sometimes a fight maybe why can't we just use $6 in-ceiling speakers and things like that?
I'm not saying most projects are like that, but that conversation is had quite a lot. And I think it's the biggest complaint that most integrators get is poor quality audio, especially on far end requirements and that kind of thing. And it really does feel like sometimes on a project with a display, lighting and audio, that it seems to be 80% display, 10% audio and 10% lighting, and that's completely wrong. I mean, display technology is better than it's ever been, and therefore I think it is important to spend more on the lighting and audio under the guidance of specialist consultants, definitely, yeah.
I mean, moving forward, do we think things are going to get better in this respect with regards to audio and lighting in meeting rooms, or stay the same, or get worse even? Are things improving? Do we think?
I feel like they are. I have the qualitative feeling that they are improving, but not necessarily the quantitative data. But 5, 6, 8 years ago, there were a lot of major players in terms of end users going to very cheap solutions. Especially, we have the UC world, which nobody really knows how to define UC, but one of the results of UC,
me know when you do know.
I will. I'll call everybody. But UC, actually, what it brought in was a lot of consumer grade technology, and that sometimes meant audio equipment. And I think a lot of companies got burned. They said, well, this solution is great in terms of the network side and the soft codec side, and it comes with the audio solution. Then they realized they can't hear anything. And they had to go back and work with a proper integrator and consultant and rebuild the audio and lighting side because they realized it mattered. So I think we're seeing a trend where the importance of good audio is real. Yeah. We have these meetings where we can't hear each other and we say it's 2018, how can we not hear each other? This is ridiculous. And I think the movement is going in the right direction. People are recognizing that the reality is that audio does need attention and proper specification. And the thing about lighting is we're all on camera now in our conferences. That requires thoughtful lighting, not just fluorescence in a tile grid, to be able for the people in the room to be able to see what they're working on, but to be seen well.
You're making a very
and
radical
be picked
statement
up,
as far as some of the people.
Right? Yeah. But we have terrible lighting for cameras in our conference rooms, and we can't. Now that we can hear each other, we need to see each other too. We're spending all that money on cameras.
Greg, do you think things will get better or
Well,
stay the same?
I'm temperamentally a glass half full person. I see that's a very appropriate comment to make. But no, I think things are moving in the right direction. But I think that also that the fact that we're going through a technology change where we're moving to LED lighting, that will move us into the AV space, and PoE, power over the Ethernet, and so on. To be able to that kind of does move it more into our space. And I think it's an awareness thing, and I feel positive about it.
Neville, do you think things are changing for the better?
It has to get better. It really does. And I almost feel that some clients have to have a bad experience before the experts get called in, and it's too late at that point. So people have always or then have found dissatisfaction with the systems. But I say with the quality of products that are available both in audio and lighting and acoustic treatments that are available that are very good aesthetically within the building, I really think if we can have those conversations early enough, we must be able to make a massive step forwards here.
Fantastic. That sounds like a good place to wrap it up. Thank you, gents. Thank you.
Thank you.